Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute. Forget the things you've told them because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
What up? What up? What up? Good. I was about to say good afternoon. It might be afternoon in some places. So I'm gonna go ahead and say good afternoon, good morning, good evening to the people. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. We here. It's an honor and privilege to share this platform with all of you. I thank you for being here. Shout outs to my writers, my poets, my content creators. You know, I give my flowers out. I try not to miss it. If I do, it's not intentional. My thoughts and prayers go out to Zay. The brother is still fighting that bug. So rest up, get well. We look forward to having you back, bro. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Squish Arcana. I got Sydney in the building. I got Coach in the building. You see the title. Yeah, we're going to go down the rabbit hole. The clip is about 5 minutes. That way, everybody gets a clear, concise understanding of what we're about to talk about. Let me bring everybody up to the big screen. Get this show started. Sid, Coach, what up, what up, what up?
Hello. How you doing?
Good, good, good.
What's up, brother? You looking clean as a $2 bill.
I need a couple of those. You know what I'm saying? Green is the thing for the day, though. You hear me?
My bad. I'm living out my car a little bit, so I wasn't able to dress for the occasion, but I appreciate you representing.
Bro, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you see the title, man. Some people might not be familiar with this couple. It's an internet couple. You know, there's dozens of them on the internet. Some of them are bigger than others. This one right here, they made it. Like, they really are living a lot of people's dreams. But we have a situation, and a lot of people have already shared their thoughts on it. I wanted to kind of tackle this one. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna bring this up on the big screen. I'm gonna let them. Well, I'm gonna let this young lady here get her bars off, and we'll go from there.
That Desmond and Christy Scott were Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't know that Desmond and Christy Scott were Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Which adds a different dynamic and a different perspective in regards to their divorce. Because from what I've learned the last couple of days, if you do not follow their guidelines and parameters, you'll be excommunicated. Marriage is for life, and that the only circumstance where you can get divorced is unless the individual cheated, one of the parties cheated, and there's no reconciliation. That's it. That's the only time divorce is allowed within that faith, or you'll get excommunicated. So knowing that, people keep projecting Christian values onto their divorce versus looking at it from the lens as a Jehovah's Witness. Is like, Yahoos are projecting hard. I mean, the amount of think pieces that I've seen regarding, oh, he's jealous of her. Men are always embarrassing women. You know, as soon as your career is done, a man is always going to try to sabotage what you got. And I'm like, did it ever occur? Did it ever occur that maybe, just maybe, Kristy might have been so insufferable that he opted to cheat in order for him not to be excommunicated? Because he wanted to maintain his faith. He chose his faith over staying married to someone who was making him miserable. Point number two is, you can tell that the women online's ego is so inflated that they can't seem to conceptualize and grasp that maybe a man can genuinely be unhappy in his marriage. But she's beautiful, she's hot, she's successful, and so what? And I keep saying this over and over again. A lot of you women think that all you need is just to be pretty with a nice body and that's it. A lot of y'all got some nasty ass personalities and characters. Did it ever occur that with all of the shit that she's been showing us online, that she got old and tired? And you can see that he checked out. It's very obvious and apparent that they checked out. That maybe he was just simply unhappy. What makes the whole situation so hypocritical is if the situation was in reverse, where he was embarrassing her, he was disrespecting her, he was humiliating her, y'all hoes would be doing all sorts of think pieces talking about, oh, this is abuse, you deserve better than that, you should leave, this, that, and the third, right? The number of times that I've seen women come up on the internet when another woman posts how unhappy she is in her marriage, you should leave, you should leave, you should leave. But let a man show, he ain't even have to say it, he is showing he is unhappy in his marriage. Well, you need to communicate better, you need to endure, you need to do this, that, and third. And it's like, what's the difference between him and Cardi B? And then y'all sit there and go with the gaslighting, talking about, well, cheating shouldn't be the option. Based off of their faith, and I'm looking at it from the lens of their faith and knowing what the rules are of their faith, he probably did communicate that he wanted out of the marriage. He probably communicated that he was unhappy and she did not fucking care. The same way y'all don't care. And he was like, well, fuck it, I'll cheat. Maybe he didn't cheat and said that he cheated in order for him to get out of that marriage. Did it ever occur that maybe she was so insufferable and he was so unhappy and he did not want to risk getting excommunicated that he just said, yeah, I cheated, and admitted it? He didn't get caught. He admitted it. Maybe he didn't cheat. Maybe he just said he cheated just so that way he could be free of that marriage. I know what it's like to be married to someone that makes me perpetually miserable. But the fact that women can't seem to grasp and comprehend that a man can be unhappy with a woman, especially if she's beautiful and successful, is just lost on you. At the end of the day, it's all speculation in regards to who did what and why. You know, they only show us this much. I caught on that there was something amiss with the marriage months ago, months when they stopped wearing their wedding bands, when she was attending all of those events solo, his micro expressions where he was just so over it, the way she was treating him, it was compounded. So I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised at the same time. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's their lives. It's easier for him to either admit that he cheated or he did cheat it because he'll be fine. He'll recover. Versus if it was the other way around where she cheated, she wouldn't recover. Her brand and her career would be negatively affected. Men will easily bounce back. They can kind of suffer the brunt of it. Desmond is an attractive man. He is successful in his own right. He'll be all right, you know. But one thing for sure, two things for certain: divorce is rough, regardless on if you're the man or the woman. It is rough. It is a roller coaster of emotions, and they do deserve privacy so they can process all of that. I didn't know.
All right. I'm gonna say this and then I'll yield the mic. So Desmond is a professional chef. Just a little backstory. She is pretty much the content creator. She's the one who does a bunch of the goofy stuff on TikTok and on YouTube. She does the dances. She does like the pranks and things of that nature. And he's kind of like the husband who's involuntarily a part of the pranks and the jokes and stuff like that. And you know, they made it for some time, and I guess at some point things kind of went south. Again, why they ended up in this situation is all hearsay and subjective. But based off of this clip in the background that you got, what are your initial thoughts?
I don't know a ton about the couple, so I can't speak on whether or not I think the infidelity stuff is true or not. But I definitely side with a lot of what the woman commentator was saying. One, celebrity women, influencer women, very frequently do have very inflated egos, particularly ones that are focused on their image being their fame. It goes to your head. It really messes with your self-perception, your perception of how people perceive you, and it can really mess with your sense of reality, essentially, where you basically think that everyone else thinks the same way as you, and that everyone else sees you as big and amazing as you are. And there's a phenomenon too, psychologists have been finding, is people that center their entire lives around social media have a very egocentric way of existing, where they basically do think subconsciously or at least consciously that they are the center of the world. Like, they really think that everyone knows them, that they're extremely famous, that they're extremely important, and they put themselves up there with celebrities, even if most people don't even know who they are. But making your career out of just fame basically really does mess with your sense of self-perception. So I definitely agree that could have had a role in that. Also, the fact that as outsiders, like, we're never going to know everything. We're never going to know the truth of what's going on underneath that relationship. We don't know if he was happy or not, if she was happy or not, what could have led to this disillusion. One of the red flags I was noticing just from looking in their history is they are apparently middle school sweethearts, which is statistically incredibly unlikely to succeed. Typically, people that meet as young kids the relationships very, very, very rarely end up successful, just because of how development happens, and just everything that will happen in your life very frequently directs your course away from each other. So it's very uncommon for people who are middle school sweethearts to actually stay together. So when I saw that they were middle school sweethearts, I wasn't entirely surprised that this was the end result, because oftentimes people who are that young and staying together, they're staying together because, oh, well, we've known each other so long, and they're staying together because that's the rhythm they know. And those are the people that they're familiar with. And there's also some sense of like romanticization where they're like, well, we've been together since middle school, so we have to stay together. And they're kind of pushing themselves through and don't want to break up the relationship because it has that status. So I wouldn't be surprised if that also potentially had an impact on them not being a good fit, but them staying together for as long as they did. And yeah, in general, it's hard for me to say exactly if, I can't say if that was true or not, whether the infidelity was true or not. I feel like it's a little bit weird for somebody to be like, oh yeah, I cheated on you, even though they didn't, and that just being the reason to break up with you. I find that a bit fishy. Like, I believe that if he says he cheated, he probably cheated. But I also definitely see her point about like a bunch of people saying, well, how could you cheat on her? Like, she's the perfect woman. You don't know that. You don't know what her personality is like behind the scenes. You don't know how good she was as a partner, because relationships are not just, oh, we get along, we're cute together, we take good pictures together, we kiss and do stuff. It's like, can you cooperate doing the dishes? Can you cooperate vacuuming the house? Do you agree on how to raise your children? Do you agree whether or not you get pets or not? Like, there's so many nitty-gritty details people don't take into consideration that can drive couples apart. So there's probably a lot we don't know in this sense.
Go ahead, you got it.
No, go ahead, man.
I watched them a little bit over the years. I wasn't like a diehard fan or nothing like that. I mostly stuck to the shorts. Like, the shorts they're just clean and concise, and they kind of just get to the point. And she's definitely camera thirsty. I'll say it that way. I don't know how to tidy it up any more than that. She loves to be in front of the camera. You don't see him unless you see her. She's the one who masterminds all of the creative dances, the trendy dances, the dressing up in goofy outfits and Halloween costumes. She's the one that's pretty much the performer of the relationship. I never was a put my business out for the entire world type of a person. I prefer privacy. I've seen too many examples of people using social media only for it to turn them into something that they wasn't before. You could have been the most humblest person ever prior to it. And as soon as people start liking you and they start giving you all of this attention, and they give you and shower you with compliments and admiration, you become big-headed. And you have a lot of people that get in your business. They become so self-involved, like it's a sickness to me. It's like you don't know these people at all, but if you grew up with them on social media, you act almost as if you were part of the family, like you're a cousin or you was a part of the wedding. And no, you're not. you are tuning in for some type of entertainment, just like I am. Either you're looking at them because by American standards, it's an attractive man with an attractive woman. The woman has a bubbly personality on camera. You love that she's goofy. You love that she's silly. You love that he carries himself with a level of humility because he lets her just be goofy as hell, lets her be her on that camera. But that's what you see here. What you don't see off screen is how it's affecting both. And Sydney, you spoke about how it changes certain women in this position, but we're not really understanding that this was her channel. He started his own afterwards, but her content was centered around her. He was just a part of it, and you turn that mic off, you turn that camera off, and then what you're left with. So I always thought they seem like they having a whole bunch of fun, and I could see why a lot of people would be like, I wish I could find somebody like this. I wish I could find a woman like this, or I wish I could find a man like this. But at the end of the day, you really don't know anything other than what they're giving you here. And I think that is the dangerous part about romanticizing public figures. I yield the mic.
I think it's interesting because I think we do the same thing that like celebrities and influencers do to themselves, where we glamorize the like they're living the life that I want because we're seeing what we see on camera. We don't see behind the scenes. Like even in movies that we know are fake, we still glamorize those relationships. We still glamorize those experiences. And like literally movies are put together showing the very specific things they want to show us. Excuse my daughter if you can hear her. Or with fame, with like glamorized lifestyles, people on both ends, the ones that are living it and the ones that are watching it, are tricked into thinking that's how it should be always, and B, that it's like end all be all, like the way that you see it, if it's glamorized, if it's you have the lovely lifestyle, you have the fancy apartment in New York City, and you get to go to the beaches and take like you get to drink all those fancy drinks and stuff. Like most people are like, oh, that's the life, but they never consider what's going on behind the scenes. And it's the same way with relationships. Like both the lives that people live and the relationships that people are in, for the most part, we only feature the parts that are nice, unless there's drama, and then we show off the drama. But even then, we're like picking and choosing the drama that either makes us look good or the stuff that'll get us views. So there's a huge discrepancy in how people are actually living and how things actually are. This is something that I've kind of been thinking about. I watch a lot of minimalism content, and one of my favorite YouTubers was talking about how a lot of people that are posting minimalism content, they're showing these lives, but they're not actually living that way. Like behind the scenes, the picture perfect house where it's always clean and it's always organized and nothing, they never have any stress at all. They're just kind of going with the flow, and none of that is true. like, yeah, they don't have as much stuff, so they don't have as much to manage, but you can never truly have a perfectly stress-free life, a perfectly manufactured, manicured life. No matter what people put online, no matter how you portray it, people are always going to have stressors behind the scenes that they're not going to show to people. And I know for influencers in particular, people that have a relatively inconsistent income, finances is one of the biggest stressors in relationships. And if they've had a lull in their viewership, that could have even contributed to their behind the scenes demise. And yeah, so they're showing this life that we assume is perfect and idealistic, and they themselves are promoting a life that is idealistic because they know that's what we want to see. They're not going to be forward and honest with us about it unless that was the focus of their channel, and that's not the focus of their channel. If I remember correctly, the focus of their channel is like basically just entertainment and pranks and stuff like that. And I think they kind of went into family life type stuff, but it was mostly like positive, uplifting content. So they're not going to be brutally honest with us about what's actually happening and what's going on behind the scenes. And so yeah, it with influencers, with celebrities, we're very, very rarely going to get the full picture. And so that's going to be misleading to the viewers. And then it also, as I said, to a degree, affects the very people that are living that life, where they kind of expect that they have to portray this type of life for everyone, to hide any sorts of dysfunction that they might be experiencing. So they even could have been diluting their own problems by wanting to at least put on a facade that everything was okay. So yeah, all this was to say that when we see this type of stuff online, it's very rarely going to be the full truth of what's going on behind the scenes. It's always going to be some form of manufactured image with bits and pieces that they're comfortable releasing, but we're never going to get like the full truth of this. And I think it's just it's just going to continue allowing relationships to get glamorized. This isn't really going to change anything. People are going to continue seeing celebrities, seeing influencers online, thinking that that's the way it is and that you can have this magical life. Well, behind the scenes, everyone has their problems.
Coach, what you got?
Yeah, so what I'll say is what I took away from the video and what's being glamorized right now is that 50% of marriages throughout the United States are ending in divorce. So this is something that's being marketed, because everything that you guys talked about was just marketing. You know what I mean? That's it. Identifying who the actual target audience is, and it's been people that was glamorized, glorified about being in relationships that didn't have any substance. And so over the years, everybody's been all about getting married, going on staycations, vacations, and doing these type of things that didn't have any substance. And now they're selling you and they're marketing to you it's okay to just get divorced. So it's not necessarily about what's behind the scenes. The key highlight is, hey, they had a great relationship, a great run. Now it's time to end it. So as you always allude to is, the ways of being in a relationship, being married, being, a union, something lasts in a lifetime, something over 20, 30 years. Now it's a contract. So now it's something that's more or less just popping up. Think about, and I don't know how, I never asked you guys, but growing up in the 90s, you listen to hip hop and R&B, majority of it was about being narcissistic, right? So everybody was the best at whatever they were at. It was this, it was that. You had to think and speak these into existence. And so much so that nobody wanted to be around each other because everybody was competing with each other, thought they were better than each other. It wasn't necessarily about completing each other. It was about being the best, the GOAT, the greatest. I'm good at this, I'm good at that. And so now you think about those things, and today, when it is not about the family dynamic, it's about destroying that family dynamic. And then now we're glorifying divorces, divorce parties, taking care of yourself. It's about your mental health. People online just promoting, hey, the cutoff culture. Nobody's, again, we're not talking about ways of building communities, environments, relationships. A relationship means you go through hard times, you build. You go through hard times, you recover. Right now, it's just, hey, look, fuck it, I had enough. I'm on to the next one. So it's what they're doing is dividing people as divide and conquer is pretty much what it boils down to.
So let me just ask just a quick question. Can you do this social media stuff and still successfully cultivate a healthy relationship inside that house?
What's different from social media than you getting up every day and going to the store? What's different from social media? You getting up every day and going to work. What's different from you social media and going to play golf, basketball, or whatever it is that you do every day? It's no difference, man. We're just finding another excuse for people to be lazy and not to put the effort in and become better versions of themselves. Social media just turned into a vessel to give you instant information of what everybody else is doing. So now everybody's comparing and contrasting relationships, lives, families, vacations. Nobody's happy with what they're doing because everybody's going against the status quo to compare it against somebody else that they don't even know. You don't even know these people on the internet, but you're comparing your life, your vacation, ruining families and homes based off people you don't even know. But if you're grounded, you're a strong-minded individual, you're comfortable within your skin, and you know who you are, why would that have any factor on anything that you got going on within your household? So again, we're escaping accountability and we're finding excuses for not holding people accountable.
There's also an element of because of how you can manufacture and manicure images and kind of put out things that are made to look perfect, people's expectations for perfection are completely unrealistic now. And I think a lot of people strive for perfection thinking that it's achievable because they see it online, but it's not realistic. It's not actually genuine, because just because there's a picture of something, just because somebody has the perfect wedding, the perfect house, the perfect family, whatever, that doesn't mean that's what's actually happening. But I think a lot of people are basing their own sense of existence or their own standards off of what they're seeing other people doing, when they don't know the behind the scenes that it took to create that type of imagery. And social media, I think, is incredibly harmful in the sense for the sense of comparison, where you're now going to expose yourself, and you can curate your own feed, so you can basically inundate yourself all day, every day with perfection images. And that is going to make you feel insignificant, because no matter how hard you try, no person is ever going to be completely perfect. And if you set your that as your expectation, and that's all you are really focusing on, you're just setting yourself up to feel failure, because you're never going to actually achieve that standard. And you're going to surround yourself with images of people who are achieving that standard that you have set for yourself, that they're not even living behind the scenes.
Hey, that's a great point, Sia. Let me jump in. So what I would say is, it's nothing wrong with striving for perfection, because what that does is that gives you the ambition, it gives you the motivation to continue going. But expectation management, that's when that comes into play, is knowing when you hit that threshold with the tools that you have, this is probably as far as high as you can go. So you want to strive for perfection, But do you think you can ever be perfect? Hell no. So again, it's about, expectation management. And then, and I don't like to say goals, because you hit a goal and then it stops. Right. So that's the bad thing about using, and it's all about wordplay and verbiage. Using goals, you reach that goal, short term, long term, 5-year goal, 10-year goal, 15-year goal, just whatever it is that you want to do. But you need to make sure that strive, again, like we talked about, for perfection, continues to go on. Because once you break that stride, that's when complacency comes into place. And once you become complacent, that's when you stop growing, because you get comfort within that complacency.
All right. This is her baby, her project. She wants to dance and she wants to be fun. I don't really think that he really wanted to be a part of that. I think he only participated because that's his wife. But like when I used to watch, I could tell a lot of times he was annoyed, because I don't think you want to wake up every day and randomly get hit with some random shit, prank or not. Like some days might like this. We see all of the hee hee ha ha, but let's say before she turned the camera on, they got into an argument or something serious was going on before they started filming. She just goes 0 to 100. She put the smile on because her viewers, but he's still, back there with the other stuff. I don't think this was really for him. I think he did it for her. I agree with both of y'all. Something that you had said about them meeting young, I think social media destroyed their relationship. I think that was the biggest issue for them personally. It could have been other things. But I don't feel like, something is telling me he wasn't really the leader in the house. It came off like, because she was the main attraction and everybody was really technically watching for her. They weren't really watching for him. That did something. That did something to the dynamic in the house. And it's hard to really determine if the things that happened was due to one side being neglectful or the other. And it go back to something that Coach has said, your only way to get out of this marriage by your religion is to commit adultery. So he owns up and says, look, I stepped out. He tells her. People are wondering, did he really step out, or did he step out because, or he's just saying he stepped out just so that he could get out of the marriage? And it was really just a butterfly effect. Like things were just bubbling over time. I'm going to say there's two people involved in this. I can't really point the finger at either or. I think it takes two to come to this conclusion here. And I know I'd feel some type of way if my whole life, or at least part of my life, was spent on social media.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, if you look at what's trending and what's going on in the world right now, honestly, this is a no-brainer. It looks like they're just doing some marketing things to help their brand. everything that you watch on the internet is a rollout or it's something marketing leading up to something else. But the problem is that I have, and I don't care about their relationship one way or the other. The issue that I have is that it's influencing other people that's out there, and it's irresponsible. And you got people that, unfortunately, man, that watch so much of this TV, this stuff online, and they become embedded with it. And so, kind of what Sid said earlier, they live on the edge of the seats about what these people are doing, and they hinge their lives off of it. So if they see these individuals who they quote unquote thought were successful and in happy bliss, and they say, you know what, it's okay to say fuck it. Let's just go our separate ways. So now you're affecting other people that are out there. And as you always say, traditional relationships, you know, problem solving and working through things, those things are being thrown out of the window. And I think that's the bigger picture to look at right now is this is just some marketing shit that you see on TV. You don't see them saying, hey, we're going through this type of counseling, this type of therapy. We're going to this type of problem solving. We're going through these type of things. You don't see that. Instead, people are sitting back talking about what the hell they did behind the scenes. Who gives a shit? What's the end result? You're showing people out here that you've been married, you have been married for an extended period of time. Now what's next? And they're saying, we don't need to do anything else. We're young. We can go on and live our lives and we can rebound, which is 100% correct. It is. But then again, I'm going to keep poking and jabbing your ass because you always talk about traditional relationships and being married. This goes against the grain and everything that you talk about. So I want to hear you, you know, stand 10 toes in it and give us a little information on how you feel about it.
Well, like my personal opinion is there's multiple angles you can look at this shit. They could just be doing it for show. Like right now, this is drama. And then give it a couple months, these niggas come out with a TV show, a spinoff, and they have Dr. Umar counseling them back to rehabilitation. And then, you know what I'm saying? They got a whole series of their journey and all that. So it's like you don't really be knowing what you're going to get with them. You don't. And like, I don't like the fact that people in these positions, I don't care if they married or not. I don't like when there's people in these positions, they don't understand that what they're doing is, like you just said, you're giving people this false reality of life. If you bleed, let people know you bleed. If you broke your arm, let people know you broke your arm. If you are an asshole, let people know you are an asshole. Don't be sitting up here acting like you perfect and you this, that, and the third. Let people know, all right, things ain't perfect. The marriage ain't perfect. We got stuff going on. You want to show us all of this happy stuff, but you don't want to show us the dark stuff. Why is that? Why are you hiding that? You can't really tell me you care about the people that are watching you if you're not going to be 100% authentic with them. So I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. I want to connect with my audience, but I don't want to do it in a manipulative way. I'm thinking long term. I want you to connect with me in a way where you follow my journey. You're not following this facade of what you think it's supposed to look like every single day, 24 hours. Do I think that they're doing everything within their power to fix their issues? No. If this is really going on and there's no programming behind it, nah. They both still got that. I can still go out here and get whoever I want. And I'm going to exercise that while I still got the time to. We've been together for so long, you know. So they not. I don't even think anything about their relationship is traditional at all, though.
No, man, it's TV. It's all script, man. You know what I mean? It's all written out, and it's not nothing. It's definitely not something that people at home should be sitting back looking and trying to get relationship advice off of. It's definitely all scripted out. You know what I mean? It's a freaking season. You know what I mean? They got credits that come on at the end of the show. So this ain't the Truman Show. People just need to, you know what I mean, detach away from that stuff and then get back to reality, man. And that's why I started out by saying, you know, the reality, man, the serious conversation is 50% of marriages in the United States are ending in divorce. There's 3 of us on here, so that means one of the 3 of us is getting divorced in the next 6 to 8 months, and those are facts. You know what I mean? And then you walk into any other room and you can look at it and do the math. See, is always bringing up receipts, talking about research, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. The information is out there, man. You can't escape it. Those are facts that are actually happening out there. And the reason why is because people are taking their life, they're taking motivation, they're taking guidance from television. And that's the reality of it, man. Or social media. Either way, it's on the screen. The real Black Mirror.
Makes me think of this piece of advice that I saw somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but they're like, if you ever want realistic relationship advice, don't go to magazines, don't go to the internet, don't go to social media, go to that neighbor that you know that's been with her husband for 40 years. You'll get more authentic advice from somebody that you know that's living a normal domestic life than you will ever get from any celebrity that has hints and tips and whatnot for having the best marriage or that you've ever had in your life. Like, go for the normal, mundane people that are just living their average life. And you can learn so much more from those people than you can from most of these fancy relationships that are posted online. Another comparison that I like, I think it was a poem or a short story or something like that. It's been a while since I saw it on paper, but it was basically comparing a marriage to a garden, where our marriage is not a marriage is a garden in the sense that you have to continue maintaining it. You're going to sometimes have nothing beautiful to show for. You're just going to have dirt and weeds that you have to constantly pull out. Sometimes you will have beautiful things coming out of the garden. Sometimes you'll have abundance. Sometimes you won't have anything. You'll just have cold, hard ground that you're going to have to work on together. And I love that metaphor because it's so true. To have a fruitful garden, you have to put in work basically day after day. Like, sure, you can have some breaks, but it's a perpetual effort. And for you to have bounty from that garden, it takes effort from both of you. You have to make sure that the soil is working for you, and you have to be willing to put in the effort to make it a good soil for the plants. And you can't just like throw stuff at it and expect it to work. And I think a lot of people are kind of tricked into thinking that now, where, oh, you just have to have like sparks and emotion and the right connection, and then you'll be fine and dandy for the next 50 years. But that's not how it works. You're not always going to get along with your spouse. As much as you have in common, you're always going to fight about something. But it's how you deal with those fights, how you move on from those situations, and how you learn to grow together to create a life that works for both of you. Because so many people are ready to call it quits over nothing. But marriage takes real work, and it's over things that are really boring and mundane. It's stupid, to be honest. Like, we argue over, like, why did you move the crackers out of this cabinet and into that cabinet? I was looking for them for like 20 minutes when they're usually always in this cabinet. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, it's never glamorous, or it can be glamorous in some fleeting moments. But I promise, like, a real marriage takes work over things that are really stupid. But it's so worth it, because when you know you have someone in your corner that you can go to, that you know, like, I'm on the side of the road and I need someone to pick me up, and I know he'll be there, and I know, like, sure, he might be pissed off that I woke him up at 2 a.m. because I have a flat tire and I didn't know how to fix it myself or something, but I know he is actually there for me, and he's going to help me and care for me. And we are raising our kids together, and we are building a life together. It sounds cheesy, but there is something to having a partner that is behind you, is standing behind you. And I think a lot of people mistake dedication and devotion for just like emotional, I don't even know what to call it, but just like it's exciting, and you get to go fly and go to a different country and hang out and take cool pictures together. Like that's not what it is. It's really about that connection, that deeper connection that you have, and knowing that there's somebody there that you can trust always.
I could only think of two reasons why this went the way it went. The communication was absent, or the communication was there and somebody failed on one side to meet the other person. Because you can have one party telling you this is what's going on, we need to address this, and then you can have the other person who is dismissing you. You see that a lot. It doesn't really make a difference if it's in a marriage or not, where somebody is just kind of brushing off your feelings. Oh, you ain't hearing what you hearing. You ain't seeing what you really seeing. You'll be okay. I'm telling you. I'm talking to you. What? And you keep getting dismissed over and over and over again. Ultimately, marriage is not a joke. It is not just a contract. When you sign them papers, it ain't just about the papers. It's about you telling the other person, this is for real. This is a union. That means you're going to get on my nerves and I'm going to get on yours. But we're going to have to figure this out. The thing here, all right, was it so bad that this man stepped out of the relationship? Did it get to the point to where it just wasn't no more talking, and then we resolved, or we just outsourced as much as we could? Nothing happened. Nothing changed. I'm exhausted. You're exhausted, and that's it. And if that's the case, you made your entire life public. Millions and millions of people watch you. You can't just put all of this out here and then say, oh, for respect of our privacy, can y'all kind of respect our what we're going through and this, that, and the third? But you done spend most of your life in front of us for years. You got people invested. You got people commenting and trying to figure out, oh, we thought y'all were perfect. What happened? And you got people trying to figure out, why did he cheat? Did he cheat? It's all his fault. Well, no, it could have been just as equally, excuse me, could have just been equally her problem as it was his. I'm gonna just say it was both of their fault. Both of them failed here. I mean, go to counseling, go to therapy. And if you really trying to convince me that the only way for you to say, look, this ain't working out, I'm gonna have to say, hey, I stepped out. And that's, if that's by your religion and that's the only way you can leave this, I digress. But I would never take advice from a social media couple. I've said this plenty of times. Do not believe everything that you see on social media at all, especially when they constantly playing Nelly and Kelly Rowland in the background of their videos, and they holding hands and they doing all the cutesy stuff. That don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. Judge, was it Judge Tolan? It was a judge that had a security guard by her side, and the plaintiff said something to the security guard and said, "Man, you look like you miserable, brother." And people laughed at it. They thought it was a joke. You go to Instagram. A few months later, that same security guard, bailiff, that man is spending the rest of his life in jail because he killed his wife. So, like, you really don't be knowing what's going on with these people. If you got issues within that relationship, you need to figure out how to resolve them. And you can't have everybody in your business. I swear you can't have everybody in your business. Matter of fact, let me ask this question. Should there be a third party involved in your situations, your personal situations in the house?
Explain third party.
A intercessor, a mediator.
Professional or friend?
Either. Because, professional is obvious.
So then we should obviously not have a friend.
Shit.
You answered your own question, man.
Man. Well,
it also depends on the issue too.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. To shoot you some bells, just depends on what the situation is. Because the problem is, man, is what not everybody has the ability to do is, and you know what I'm getting ready to say, is take the emotion out of the conversation. Everybody doesn't have the ability to just be the mediator. Some people it comes natural. Some people it's a trained skill, right? So that's why the buzzword is to go to a therapist. But therapist is not always the answer. The way therapy is based up and the history about therapy is biased, right? This ain't the conversation for us. So what I will say is it is biased based on who created therapy and the way you go into therapy. But there's other forms of mediation that are out there. And you know me, I always tell you, you should have a professional or a subject matter expert in whichever issue that you're going through, because they have been properly trained. They have taken certifications. Not saying that means they are experts. That means at least they have the baseline and structure to provide you in your recuperation process. Other than that, you're going off of somebody with experiences and their opinion. And that's where the difference comes into play. Because when you're trying to recover, you need the actual structure that is there and identified along with the experiences. So
yeah, therapy is historically, compared to human existence, is very new. Like, therapy really didn't start until like the 1900s, and honestly, like 1950s, if you want to go with more modern therapy that people are familiar with. But even in the past, like 1800s, 1700s, and even before that, even Native Americans had stuff like this, where if a couple that was, I don't want to call it marriage because that's not how it was in every culture, but they would see like either their parents or the village elder, or they would often have like a some sort of wise individual, whatever they call it, in the community that they could go to and talk to about whatever issues that they were having. And so historically, married couples / relationships have had a person that they could go to and refer to when they were having issues to seek out advice. And we have definitely branched out since then, and a lot more things are seen at like, oh yeah, just go to the internet, just go to your friend, just go to your neighbor, just go whoever for advice. But I think just like what you said, Coach, you have to, one, really be certain of who you're going to. That person needs to be a fairly neutral party. They should be well versed in, or I guess not well versed, but be successful at being able to kind of facilitate a discourse, a peaceful discourse, and also have advice to give, have wisdom to offer. Even now, like, people go to therapists that are just like, they got hired off the internet and now they're getting it off an app and they don't actually have any clue what they're talking about. The people that are getting advice from Grok and AI, like, oh my God. Word of advice, don't try and get marriage advice from Grok. That's not going to end well. But you have to be very cautious of who you go to. Some people could have a hidden agenda and be trying to convince you of a different direction. This person that you go to should understand what the goals in mind are, because some people might try to either argue for you to stay together if you don't want to, or argue for you to split apart if you want to stay together. And there's also the element of, you have to be willing to try. It does not matter who's facilitating the conversation if the couple is not on the same page, if the couple is not willing to put in the effort and to be honest with each other and to establish the goals that they want together. Because if the couple is not on the same page and one person's interested in staying and the other person's not interested in staying, it's not going to end well, because it's going to be one person trying to convince the other person of what they want without having any interest in what the other party wants. And so when you engage in these conversations, you really have to talk to each other first, unless it's a very, very volatile relationship, in which a person as third party is necessary to kind of keep the situation calm. For the most part, before you seek help, you should seek out each other first, because really you are both the ones that have the best idea of what's going on, how you feel, and theoretically you two should know each other the best. And sometimes bringing in a third party is just going to complicate things. So make sure you put in the effort first with yourselves, before you start to involve other people. But if you do get another person, make sure they're reputable.
Facts. So just to tag team what Sid just said is, again, and the basis behind therapy is to make sure that with Siegfried and Freud and those guys, to make sure you provide a safe space for the woman. And so what happens is, man, is that therapy and all that stuff was established, like she said, in the 1900s. It's 2026, man. Times have changed. Women have changed. Men have changed. The perspective has changed. So for you to still try to educate and counsel somebody on something from the 1900s, listen, man, somebody told me the other day, dude, you was born in 1977. That was a long time ago. And I was like, oh, shit, that was. So imagine that you taking information and you're taking logic and stuff from the 1900s, prior to that, 70 years prior to that, and think about how outdated it is, right? And think about the mindset and how everything has shifted and maneuvered. How now the male is more or less the one that's not necessarily finding success in the workplace in these different places, and now the woman, female, they're being pushed to be to the forefront for more success, in work, education, sports now. Now they're even talking about, the WNBA being promoted to get, more notoriety and different things of that nature. So just the whole mindset has shifted. So with that being shifted and you go into therapy, you might be down -5 or 10 points. Right? So now you may have had a leg to stand on, but you going in there because it's already a biased curriculum and a biased theology and methodologies are outdated. You're going against that grain. So it might not necessarily be beneficial for you. So that's why you have so many things out there now with coaching. You have things out there where people talking about psychological advancements and placements to help people out, talking about personality assessments, talking about demographics and where they come from, these type of things. So you got to stay up to par with what's going on out there in the world so that you can make sure you're getting the appropriate tuning for your mental state, just like as if your car, right? People driving around electronic cars are not pulling up in the back of somebody's backyard, to see a mechanic. They're going to see somebody that can work on an electronic car. So same concept, man, is, you got to stay current with what's going on. And then like Sid said, having a conversation, man, the hard conversation with yourselves at home. That's important. It goes back, everything we talk about is the basis and the background of communication. And if you aren't communicating at home, if you aren't open-minded, you're not coachable, you're not trainable, you're not teachable on both parties, then that's where the issue lies. So you're searching and seeking for somebody else to play the mediator and pick a side. And that's what people end up doing, is they don't want to listen and they don't want to be open to communication and receptive to what's going on. So now I need somebody to pick a side. And then now it's not about flourishing and moving forward in a relationship. It's about somebody picking a side, and it's about who's right, who's wrong. We're competing and not completing each other.
The difference with that electric car is you remember the self-driving one. It had somebody stuck in the trunk a few weeks ago. So I don't know how much I'm relying on that shit, but the healthy relationships, you have to constantly be working at evolving your communicational skills, especially if you really take the other person serious. The difference that I do see with someone going to a 9-to-5 and the internet is the realities are different. Because you had mentioned that earlier, what's the difference between the two? This right here is not real, not for everybody. Some of this you can take with you. A lot of it you can't, though. This situation proves it, right? Somebody who is like constantly programmed, lights, camera, and action. How do you cultivate or have like a healthy exchange with a person who is constantly being fed all this dopamine from comments all day? Oh, she's so pretty, she's so this, she's so that, he's lucky this, he's lucky that, this, that, and the third. The men thirsty. All you see this all day. How do you get all of this attention fed to you for damn near your 6-7 years running social media and be normal at home? How do you turn that off? Like, it's different if you just going into an office.
I think you're talking about two separate things, man. If you run a business, you got somebody that takes care of your social media. So you're not even engaging with that. If you're doing it all yourself, you're probably not successful. These two individuals are, from the video you showed, I'm assuming they are successful. So they have a team for that kind of stuff. So I don't think that kind of stuff even reaches them. They got fan pages, they got all that kind of different stuff. So I don't think that necessarily plays a role, man. To be honest with you, I think these kids or these people just get a script, they go out there and enact it. And then, like you just said, is we don't have the behind the scenes. We just don't know what's going on. But everything that's out there, in order to be successful in any business, you got to have a team behind you. And everybody that's successful online, they got a team behind them. Nobody's sitting at home doing all this stuff by themselves. So I think, again, we start to separate online, like you just said. I'm just piggybacking on what you said. And somebody, a 1099 versus a W-2. 1099, they're a contract, they go on a part of a company, and they have a team. Then it's the same concept because the team wins, not the individual. So I think that's where people get it misconstrued, is they don't understand these people online, they are working. They're working and they have a team behind them. And everybody that's sitting at home, not being successful online and being in the podcast, doing it by themselves, that's why we aren't successful, because you don't have a team behind you. So I think that's where people the view gets skewed in seeing that. And that's where the online thing becomes a gray area, because people are online benefiting, making money from it. And then people are online looking for validation and notoriety. There's two separate things that are happening. These people that are making money and being successful got a team, a brand pushing them. And then everybody else is sitting there trying to emulate and imitate what they're seeing other people be successful with.
To go along with that, I don't think it really matters like what caliber you're at, whether it's online, whether it's an in-person job with a boss and whatnot. I think what matters really is your boundaries and whether or not you're allowing yourself to, when I get home, I'm home with my family. I'm home with my kids. I'm here spending my time with you, and I'm not going to be spending my time online, because a person who works a 9-to-5 job could very easily fall into a very similar trap where when they get home, they're back on the computer, they're doing projects until 2 a.m. They don't see their kids. They don't participate in the household work. They are still giving all of their time to work and thinking about their coworkers and their boss and their projects and whatever. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how you use the free time that you do have. Because a person who is successful in their marriage is successful because they've decided to dedicate certain hours of their day, certain time to their wife, to their kids, to their household, to make things easier for their family. Whether or not they have a super crazy job or a very easy passive job. It really matters more with how you actually manage your time to prioritize the things that actually matter to you. So I think you could very well have a very successful internet job. You could be a media influencer while also having a very successful relationship, if you allow yourself to actually prioritize that time to show your partner that is your priority. As I said, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. It just matters how you're actually spending your time and how you're showing your priorities to the people that matter to you.
Quality over quantity.
I'm not mad at those responses, but we can't say that everybody follows that same, concept, because there's people who get inflated egos, they get the red carpet treatment, and there's no going back. City, you said it not too long ago. Once you make over a certain amount of money, things change. You're not the same person anymore. A lot of folks get to a certain level in life and they start to look down on you. I ain't saying that's what happened here, but we can't ignore it. Like it's not a possibility.
I agree with you. I don't think that people get to that level. I think people have always been that way, and now they have that financial freedom
to be assholes
themselves.
Yeah. You don't just develop that.
Right. It doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of, because you know how, again, it's all about those patterns. So there's been something that you've developed repetitive, over and over. And now you stumble across a bag and you're like, oh, I'm about to let this mug out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been waiting all my life. You know what I'm saying? To get out here and do that. So, I mean, some people like that. Or some people will get a bag, donate a little bit of charity to a nonprofit, and then they'll just keep moving and going on. But you was who you was before you got here.
So if it was already like that, then they definitely had some issues. Because ain't no way in the world. And then, like, I could see the patience. There's a breaking point. I'm gonna close out with this. Everybody got a breaking point. Everyone. How you respond to it, that's what matters. I look at it like they got to a breaking point. I don't know why. I don't know who is responsible for this and that. You're both responsible for something that happened here. He made a choice. Doesn't matter if she made him feel a certain way. He made a choice to step out the marriage if he did. Because he could have easily handled that a different way. She could have made the space available for him to talk to her about what was going on. And then they could have figured out how they were going to do this thing before it got to him doing what he did. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I wish them the best. I do not want to, if I see a Netflix special or some type of program with them, please don't do it. Please don't. I don't want to see that, because now I'm gonna really be pissed off, because it's like y'all just played in our face again. It's like, here we go, more TV, more this scripted stuff. None of it was real. Y'all got people out here really thinking that this is real, and they're gonna emulate it in everything that they got going on. Yeah, a prank. Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that, man.
Listen, hey man, this is what I'll say. In closing, of course, our relationship didn't work out. We both put you first.
Any final words before we close out? Said, shout out to everybody who pulled up to the stream tonight, man. Appreciate y'all for being here.
My only closing remark is, don't get marriage advice from Grok.
I know, right? The fact that people actually do that is wild to me. Somebody did that to me on Twitter last year, because I made a comment about something, and they said, "Hey, Grok, who is Assembly of Excellence?" Then Grok responded with like this well worded, crafted, mean type of a response, and then the rest of the little butt huggers, they followed up laughing. I don't know. I can't get with it. I'm not going to no computer for stuff like that. Like, so 2026, we roasting people using automated services. No more doing it the old-fashioned way, huh? All right.
We're even too lazy for insults.
Right. Anyway, man, good show. Appreciate the feedback. I love the information that was dropped tonight, man. Glad y'all could be here. I hope the rest of y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. We be back tomorrow. Sydney, you up? We're gonna chop it up, but y'all be easy. Do me a solid before you go, if you don't mind.
Push the goddamn button.
Peace.